Hey everyone, welcome back to another video from GVHDeals. Today I'm going to give a little bit more background into where I am at this point in relaunching my sports card strategy. It's been about 3 months. I'll get into some of the data and where I've learned some things and talk about what I'm thinking about in the future for future videos. Like a lot of you watching, I was into sports cards as a kid in the 80s and 90s. You'll see some of them that I have and talk about, what that means now. We weren't looking at pop reports, grading, profit margins back then. I was just either opening packs or getting sets for holidays and enjoying them. Eventually, life took over. I had other things going on. A lot of the cards sat untouched. I dabbled over the years with different times on eBay or trying to ship some things and probably could have made more money had I known or saved some of these, but we are where we are, and now I'm working on the path forward to help build this out. The landscape has completely changed. Over the last few years during the pandemic, there was a huge rise and importance. We've recently been faced with a shutdown of PSA value submissions due to the high demand and the way that the market has changed. So with that, I need a new plan to see how I can make some money and make this both a fun hobby where I can make a little bit of cash on the side to continue investing, whether it's building out my personal collection or using it as a more of a side hustle to be able to make some money going forward. Today, I'm going to get into some of the data. So if you are interested in detailed data, that's a good thing. If not, you can skip around and see how different things are going. Before we go too deep into the numbers and how I'm thinking about the last few months and what my strategy should be going forward, let's start by going back a little bit. Um, as I came back into the hobby, I had a little bit more income and thought maybe I could buy into either breaks or boxes. And I quickly realized that that's a losing proposition. Fortunately, I only bought into one break, but after getting the Seattle Seahawks and very little, if anything, of value in that break, I determined that there has to be another way. So from there, I said, let's take a look at what I have. I had quite a few cards. I would say, not thousands, but a few hundred, maybe a little over 1,000 of some of these old 90s cards. And for those in the hobby that are not aware, it's known as the junk wax era. So as I've gone through many of these, you can see most of the ones in here I would say are worth $1 or less. That's why they're in the box like that, and really not a way that you're going to be able to make money. I've got different binders, sets. Like I said, I've dabbled over the years, so I do have some supplies, which is helpful. And I've really been, listing some things on eBay, dollar cards, and we'll talk about some of the numbers there. Um, Again, over here is some of the cards. Look how many were received from just opening boxes and packs and things like that. Many of these are base cards and not worth a lot of value. So that is when I determined I'm going to need a new strategy going forward. Now I'm going to take you through some of the numbers, and remember this is an evolving process and things will improve over time. There's several tabs on this. I will go into some of them. Some of these can be cleaned up and or deleted, but I would say, as I mentioned, when I got back in, a lot of this cost of goods was based on boxes, even getting into things that I'm not that familiar with, like Pokemon, because I knew that there was a market for it. But again, I quickly learned that I need to focus on what I know best and what I'm passionate about, or it's not going to be fun or profitable. Um, this spreadsheet did not exist in the beginning. I needed to make sure that I was tracking things, and hopefully these numbers start to go from negative to positive in the future. But a few big things that I will call out on here. So I've broken out, and I'll show the actual spreadsheets, but things that I have in my collection, those low value cards, which, I'm making a little bit each month, but not necessarily enough to be sustainable. And then I've really pivoted to more of a focus on buying single cards, whether graded or non-graded, trying to buy in the off season or if something is undervalued that I can flip pretty quickly. Again, this is going to take some time to play out, especially with my focus mainly on football. And we'll see how that plays out when we get into July and August as the season hype starts picking up again. So I mentioned some of the things that I've learned, and again, the collection in Rips is a mix of the cards that I'm selling individually. Many of these I'm listing for 99 cents to $2. There's been a few that are a little bit higher, but one of the interesting things, and I can show you some examples, is with these low value, and I see a lot online about whether it makes sense to list dollar cards. And in my opinion, I was thinking it's good, and there is some learning opportunities there from posting, getting used to doing your mailings efficiently that will be helpful as you scale. So I would take those as more of a learning opportunity, because at the end of the day, it's really not worth your time to be messing around with these types of low value cards. So here's just one example. Right now, the NBA playoffs is going on. Carl Anthony Towns, this was a Topps Chrome refractor, only worth a couple bucks. Maybe I could have got a little bit more, but you can see here it sold for 99 cents. One thing that a lot of people don't realize is eBay takes their fees off the total. So that includes any shipping charges, sales tax, and then they take their fee. I do charge $1 shipping for these low value cards, so it covers some of my penny sleeves and top loaders and things like that. But still, you can see here, even charging a little bit more on the shipping, I print my label, and after eBay takes their charges, I ended up making 66 cents. And it probably took me 5 to 10 minutes to list, another 5 minutes to get the envelope printed out and shipped once it comes in. So not necessarily a good use of time, except for it does help add some feedback to your eBay profile. And I was able to build up the habit of being able to list and ship pretty quickly. Another quick example here. Again, I've seen a lot of debates online about whether you should sell individual cards or do them in lots. So I took a shot at a lot. This was an old baseball promotional cards from cereal and food and things like that. Because of the size of it, it couldn't ship in the cheaper eBay envelope. So I had to charge $5 plus for ground advantage shipping. And again, you see here, so this one had a total order of 723. eBay takes their charges of $1.26, which again, the price was 99 cents. And then the shipping label was kind of a wash from what the person paid. I actually lost 27 cents on this. So again, this is where I need to rethink my strategy. And as we go forward, I've been looking to leverage AI a lot. So we'll talk about how I'm incorporating that from kind of a consulting standpoint. And hopefully, we'll be able to see some benefits from this going forward with the new strategy. So, back to the first 3 months, you know, it's been more of a negative cash flow situation. I have accumulated a fair amount of inventory. So as hopefully some of these things increase as the season gets closer and I refine the strategy of flipping some higher value cards, um, we'll start seeing some positives. And when I say higher value, I'm now looking in the $10 to $30 range. Some graded cards maybe in the 100 to 150, but you don't need to go from $1 to $2 cards to $500 cards. We're going to see how this works out and grow over time and then reinvest those funds. So as I think about the pivot and what's going to happen going forward, I will be sharing more on my framework, my goals, my systems and processes, especially how we can incorporate AI into the system. And stick along for the ride, subscribe and hit the like button, and there will be more to come in the future.